Welcome. Welcome to a special edition of Gentle Somatic Yoga with lots of other tools so that we start feeling more whole. Um, we don't often realize how fragmented we get just from world events, bodily aches and pains, daily stresses, um, all sorts of things. And before we know it, we're just fragmented into a bunch of pieces. And the wonderful thing about somatic yoga, it is all about feeling whole. So in today's class, the most important thing is that you sense how these things are landing inside your body. And if it's helpful to you to close your eyes, to not be as distracted by what's going on around you, then close your eyes. And if there's anything that's not working, um, in somatics, we don't have a right way to do something. We have a how is it landing in your body way to do something? Is it helping you feel whole? Is it nourishing and nurturing to you? So I'll offer a lot of varieties on everything. But even if none of those varieties work, then you just visualize doing the move, because visualizing works as well in many cases as actually doing something. We're going to work a lot of upper body today to open up our heart and to loosen up all around here that can get so tight, and then it affects our shoulders and our neck. But of course, we have to ground by working our lower body as well. So in any sort of standing position, just start by looking at your feet a little bit and maybe stepping side to side. And then if you don't mind, continue to do that either with your eyes closed or not looking at anything, because I want you to again sense what you're feeling inside. Sense the feet on the ground. Sense the left versus the right leg. Slowly come to stillness, almost like a pendulum that's swinging and swinging less and less and less until you somehow land what feels centered to you. Make any other small adjustments with the eyes closed. And then notice, are you putting equal weight in right and left side? Does something feel different from the right to the left? And I'll give you an example. Does your one arm feel longer than the other? You don't have to adjust things now. We're just noticing, and we're noticing with curiosity, not with distaste or fear or judgment or shame. We're being very curious. When you're in a curious state, you are in your ventral vagal system. Your ventral vagal system is the system that you would like to be in charge most of the time in your life, because it signals safety. It allows you to feel calmer. When that system's in charge, your whole body works better. Unfortunately, the stresses of life often put us in a place where our second part of our nervous system is in charge. It's popularly known as fight and flight. It is our sympathetic system, but it has an important role to play when we need it. We just don't want to stay in that state all day long. And then the last system, which is our dorsal vagal system, is our most primitive, the first system formed in our body. When it's not in charge, but just working in conjunction with the other two systems, it allows you to be still. When it takes over your body after some big event or trauma or something you haven't processed, you feel shut down. Okay, so open your eyes and we'll begin some movement. Arms up. If you have shoulder issues, do not do that, please. Keep them slightly bent. But if you don't have shoulder issues, you could reach up further. But otherwise, you're going to keep this bend in your elbows, just lifting slightly, lowering slightly, noticing the shoulder movement already, lifting slightly, lowering slightly. Interlace hands behind the head, opening up slightly. So in the opening, you might be jutting your chest out a little bit, not too much, drawing elbows toward each other, feeling the front body engage. Inhaling, the back body engages, you might look up. Exhaling, the front body engages. You could also do this with eyes closed if that feels more appropriate. Inhaling and exhaling. Now, tilting one elbow toward the sky, one elbow down. Again, not going too far. We're beginning to open up our side bodies and then going the other way. Noticing, do you have more range of motion on one side than the other? Where are you sensing this movement? I'm sensing the one direction right here in my scapula and right on that rib cage. It's a little tight there. So I don't want to force it open. I want to work with it. So the next time you go toward your left, maybe dropping a hand down and going deeper, switching sides. So lengthening one arm down, drawing the other elbow toward the sky, opening up the side body. So anytime we do a little sequence like this, we're building on it. But let's say we go to the next step and it doesn't feel appropriate. You return to the previous step. So the next step, if it feels appropriate, would be releasing the arm over the head. But if that doesn't, you keep the hand behind the neck. And then you may be noticing some adjustments that you're giving yourself. A little bit of spinal movement. The other thing we're doing is we're adding fluid to the spaces between the spinal processes, the bones. Let's go ahead and interlace the hands together. If you're going to the next step, you don't have to. And then my hands are facing the sky, and I'm going even a little deeper into this, getting more of the body involved. So come to stillness in the middle and allow your body to twist to one side, dropping an arm down, and bringing that arm back up. Allow your body to drop to the other side, bringing an arm down, and come back up. Drop down and up, and drop down and up. Come back to the center. So when we're done a little sequence like that, this is your invitation to explore something that feels good and neutralizing. Some people like stillness. Other people just want to organically start to move something that feels like it needs to move. So I'm rotating my shoulders gently because I feel like they need to move. And then shaking hands out. Shaking is a great way to release excess energy that's not the kind of energy you want in your body. So you shake it out. You can see animals do that a lot, and sometimes babies, and and we do it after we cry. We just shake a little bit. So that's a good release. All right, so widen your legs, and your toes can be slightly pointed out, and then just slowly bend one knee and then the other knee. Just explore what's going on now with our lower body. Come back to center and stillness and bend both knees and release them. And you might start to go a little deeper if that feels appropriate. Once again, we're just trying to explore what's going on in our body right now. When you come down the next time, maybe lift up one heel, place it down, lift up the other heel, place it down. Do that one more time. Keep the heels planted. See if you can lift the toes, place them down. Lift the other set of toes, place them down. My toes don't want to lift too much. This is working some interesting muscles. Now turn your feet toward the camera. So now they're going straight forward. If you are not going into full forward folds at this point, you want to reach your hands for a wall or a chair. If you are going into full forward folds, maybe pausing here halfway, placing hands down on the ground, seeing if you can soften head, neck, and shoulders. Shrug the shoulders upside down. This works just as well leaning onto a wall, leaning onto the bed, leaning onto a chair, if this is creating any dizziness for you. Breathing. Wherever you are in this little sequence, bend the knees. So now as I'm coming up with a lengthened spine, not a rounded spine. When you lengthen your spine, you're protecting your low back. My knees are deeply bent. The head is above the heart briefly. And then I'm standing all the way up and shaking things out. Do, again, something that feels nourishing to you. You could even just walk around your room, just move around in any way that feels right. So the next loosening sequence, you might want a wall or chair nearby. I'll demonstrate it with one, just for balance purposes. So I'm going to have a chair. If you're mirroring me, it would be on your left side. And I'm going to draw up my inside leg. So bending up, this is the contraction. And then I'm going to lengthen that muscle, contract and lengthen. If you don't want to put your hands on a chair, it becomes much more of a balance challenge, but we're not really focusing on balance so much as maneuvering the hips. So that's why the chair is nice. So you can add an arm and then opposite elbow to opposite knee. And go as slowly as feels right to you. Go ahead and place that foot behind you. So right now I'm on the ball of that foot and the front knee is bent. Try to place the heel down and then lift it back up. Place that heel down, lift it back up. One more time. Now leave that heel down if you can. Straighten the front knee. Now with that knee straightened, check your hips to make sure they're relatively even. Just lean forward. This is the start of a pyramid pose. Come back up. You should feel this lengthening all up and down this side of the body. So leaning over again, don't go too deep, and come back up. So you're going to your edge, no past your edge. And then come back up. Draw that leg toward the other leg. Let's loosen up this hip in a rotation fashion. So I'm going to start with my leg crossed over. I'm going to kind of make a circle. Watch that you're not over engaging the knee of the other leg. I have a tendency to pull that knee in too far. So you're doing almost a full circle with the other leg, which is getting internal and external rotation for the hip. All right, let's shake that out. In between the sides, if you have a wall or a chair, you could do a wall or a chair dog. Or if you're doing full downward dogs today, go ahead and do a downward dog on the ground. I love the wall and chair dog a lot because a downward dog is primarily a lengthener for the spine. You don't need to put all that weight on your arms and shoulders to lengthen the spine. You don't need to straighten the legs out completely if you have incredibly tight hamstrings. That's what pulls on a lot of people's low backs, are these really tight muscles back there. So walk towards your chair, chin up, back body engage, front body lengthen. And we're going to do this whole little series to the other side. So swinging the inside leg, swinging it back and forth. So this is the contraction. This is the opening. Contract, open, contract, open. Add the arms in. Arm outstretched when the leg's behind. Elbow toward knee. One more time. And now go ahead and put that foot on the ground. And you're up on the ball of the foot first. And then see if you can lower. Go back up to the ball of the foot and lower it back down to the heel. Last time. Now bend and straighten this front leg. When you straighten it, square off the hips a little bit. Just start to lean slightly forward. Again, when I was younger, my pyramid pose would go all the way to the ground. It's not appropriate for me anymore. It hurts my hips. But you go to your edge, whatever your edge is. Don't go beyond that. Coming in and out, the stretch you're feeling or the lengthening should be up this outside leg all the way up through the top body. So mostly on the side. One more time. All right. So once again, let's face the chair. We'll do our hip rotation after we do one more chair dog here. Chair dog. Or regular dog. Or wall dog. Come back to the front. And the outside leg, cross your midline. So this is internal rotation. External rotation is out here. Internal rotation, neutral, external rotation, back to internal rotation. This is, we need to be able to work the outside and the inside of the hip. Unfortunately, in yoga, we tend to do too much external rotation and not enough internal. All right, go ahead and once again, do something that feels neutralizing to you. Maybe it's marching, maybe it's walking around, maybe it's just standing still and check in. All right, so let's all do a check-in. Let's try to find that center point again with our eyes closed. If you feel safe to do so, step back and forth until your pendulum comes to a stop in the middle, and then see if you feel centered. This time, if you don't mind, take your right hand on your heart, your left hand on your belly, and just focus on breathing. There are many different ways to breathe, to be able to have our nervous system be more resilient, because really we want a resilient nervous system. We want a nervous system that can shift easily to what our current needs are. So if you're in a dangerous situation, you obviously don't want this super calm nervous system, right? That's when you want your sympathetic system to kick on. But when the danger is over, you want to be like our kitty cats or our calmer dogs, and all of a sudden they're lying down and they're sleeping. That's the kind of nervous system you want. It can shift from state to state easily and smoothly. So breathing in a resonant way with your body is one of the most effective ways to get there. And learning to sense, where am I? What nervous system state am I in now? And can I shift that through changing my breathing patterns? Okay. Let's just do a balance. If your balance is challenged for whatever reason, then do it with something, hold on to. But if you want to do a balance, go ahead and join me. So in Gentle Somatic Yoga, we would never go right into a tree pose. What we would do first is maybe something like this, where I'm actually stacking one foot on the other. And that's my first tree pose. And I'm noticing what's going on with my body. My leg is shaking a lot. And this may be my tree pose today. That might be it. So let's try the other side. Let's see what's going on here. So literally, I'm just stacking one foot on top of the other and checking out my initial tree pose. Okay. So let's say I want to go further. You don't have to. That could be your tree pose. Then maybe I would do something like this, put my leg up there and see how that feels. Okay, let's do the other side. See how that one feels. Any point, you're checking in, you're deciding what's appropriate for you today. All right, and that one felt actually better than my first one. So now I'm going to try to go to another one. I don't love putting my foot next to my knee or bringing it too high. So my next version is going to look more like this, where I'm going to cross my leg over like this. To me, this feels better on my hips. And some people would call this half lotus pose rather than a tree pose. But this one works better for my body. But if you're one who does something like this, you might try that. It's very hard with slippery pants too. Okay. And then I'm going to try the other side. See, and every one of these things, you're just being curious. You're not criticizing yourself. You're just saying, this is interesting. Where am I feeling this? Okay. So the only other thing we might add is maybe arms doing something. So whichever one you want to do leg-wise, then maybe go ahead and add something with the arms. And if you want to do your thumb to your first finger and stretch the arms out, you're in a mudra now. And breathe. Now, the challenge that I have not been able to get to, just doesn't work in my body, is to close my eyes doing any of these things. I just, I've tried a bunch of times and I am pretty visual and I can't seem to do this with my eyes closed. It has not felt safe enough for my nervous system. Okay. All right. We did our balance today. Shake things out, move things around. The rest of our work is going to be down on the ground. So this is where you'll set the blanket up completely across your mat so that you can maneuver easily. And then if you have other supplies that you like to use when you're laying down, something for under the head, you could even have the blocks nearby in case there's a time you want to use that. We're not going to lay down quite yet. We're going to sit and just do a mudra practice, and then we're going to go into our rest of our postures, which will be on the ground. So for the mudra practice, if sitting on the ground does not feel comfortable, you could sit on a chair, or you could elevate your hips to make it more comfortable. So I'm going to do what's called the Shakata mudra. And the Shakata mudra is a gesture for balancing your central channel of energy. And in yogic traditions, we have pretty much 3 channels of energy. We have the Ida, the Pingala, and the Sushima. And the Sushima is the central channel. And so the Ida and the Pingala, the Ida is your lunar side, the Pingala is your solar side. And some people will say your solar side is more energetic. Your lunar side is calming. So we're going to just focus on that central channel today. So the hand position is, I'm going to get closer so you can see the hand position better, is to take your thumbs and touch the thumbs toward each other. And then your index fingers pointing up to the sky, making like a wide U. And then your other 3 fingers are just bent in. So you've made like a very square U. And what you would do is you'd hold this either on your lap below the navel, so you could lean it against your body, or just on your lap. So you've got these pointer fingers and the thumbs touching. Okay. So just for a moment, close your eyes and sense where your breath and energy are drawn to when you place your fingers in this position. Just notice the flow of prana. So Shakata means vehicle. So this is the Shakata mudra. And this refers to Sushima Nadi. And that is the vehicle for your Kundalini energy, which is the energy of spiritual awakening. So it always remains in your body. It's often dormant at your base chakra, your root chakra. And then it gradually rises up and down through your body. So we are awakening to wholeness and unity today. So in the beginning, I'd like for you to energetically breathe in and out through just your left side. Now, if you want to take the hands apart from this particular mudra and cover your right side, if you can't, if you don't sense it enough, just breathing in and out, you could cover the right side just briefly. So you want your breath to be felt in the left nostril, the left lung, and the whole left side of your body. So after completing the lunar breathing, you could then briefly shut off the right nostril, unless you can do it energetically. I mean, shut off the left nostril. So you're breathing in and out of the right nostril. So this is the Pingala side you're breathing in now. So you should feel it through the right nostril, the right lung, and the right side of the body. So if you've moved your hands, go ahead and place them back in the Shakata mudra. Index finger pointed up, thumbs touching, other fingers tucked in, back on your lap. And now breathe through both nostrils. See if you can feel more of this central channel getting involved. Visualize this channel as a column of crystal light within your spine. This crystal light runs from your Muladhara or root chakra at the base of the body all the way to your Sarasara or crown chakra. With each inhale, sense the crystal light ascending along the Sushumna Nadi. And with the exhale, the energy is descending back to the base of your body. Just do this a couple of rounds and visualize this crystal light traveling up and down with your breath. Sense it flowing smoothly. As the crystal light flows more freely, it should allow you to more naturally attune to your inner essence. You are a limitless, pure being. You transcend your lunar and solar sides of you. The present moment is expanding infinitely. See if you can rest in this timeless being and merge with the crystal light flowing up and down. We will affirm this by saying the following little affirmation 3 times. As crystal light permeates my being, I experience my essence as unity. As crystal light permeates my being, I experience my essence as unity. As crystal light permeates my being, I experience my essence as unity. Go ahead and release the gesture. Just move your fingers around a little bit. Gently blinking, open your eyes and come on to your backs. You can either stretch completely out briefly or keep your knees bent if stretching out affects your lower back. So make sure you have plenty of room around you so that your arms at some point can be in a T, and that you even have room with your arms in a T on your back to draw an arm out and bring it in, draw the other arm out and bring it in. They're going to be laying on the ground like this, but you're going to slightly lengthen and release and slightly lengthen and release. So make sure there's nothing in your way of doing that. And the blanket is great for sliding. That's why we have the blanket. It's cushioning and it's also helps you slide. Okay. So bend your knees up if they're not already bent. Place your feet on the ground. Your arms are out in a T. Let's just start with allowing our head to gently roll side to side. Now, what I'm going to recommend you do as much as possible is follow my instructions without looking at me, because you'll strain your neck to look at me. And this is all about sensing this internally anyway. So what do you sense as you're gently turning your head side to side? Do you sense more ability to turn to one side than the other? So this, and if you need some extra cushioning, if you have a very hard head, as I seem to. And then we're going to add in the slight lengthening of the arm out to the side. So as my head goes to the right, that arm is going to gently pull slightly away from the body, almost as if somebody is gently tugging your hand. It's not lifting off the ground, and then bring it back to neutral. And then you're going to do the other side. And I did not follow my own advice. I don't have enough room on the other side. Make sure you have room on both sides to stretch out. So now my head is going to the left, and I'm allowing that arm to go a little bit further away from the body, and then draw everything back to neutral. These are really small movements. Maybe your arm goes out an eighth of an inch. Maybe it goes out more. You're staying within your range of motion, and you're making sure you release when you come to neutral. So these are very subtle but very effective movements for releasing chronic tension. Last time like this, do a round. And last time. Okay, so then the next one, and I'm going to sit up for a moment just so that you are seeing what I'm doing, and I have to get my little notes too. So I do want to make sure that you're doing this very accurately. So you're still going to be on your ground, but you're going to, when you're laying on the ground, your arms are going to go like this in front of your body. So they're going up toward the sky, right? So you're laying on the ground. And then you're going to take the left arm over the right, reach for the left hand to right shoulder, right hand to left shoulder. Got it? Your left arm is closer to your body. Got it? Okay. So once you get like that, your knees are bent for this. So my hands were initially touching. Now my left arm crosses, touches the right shoulder. My right arm touches the left shoulder. My left arm should be closer to my body. So now you're just going to allow the arms to slightly shift to one side. So I'm going to the left first. I should feel a slight pulling under my right armpit, and then come back to the center. Again, tiny moves. And then I'm going to go the other way. Very small move. And back to the center. We are releasing so much tension around our chest area, our scapula, our front, our armpits. Slowly. Don't go too fast. Don't go too far. Just sense this movement. All right, draw the arms back up to the sky again. This time you're bear hugging with the right arm reaching first. Right arm to left shoulder, left arm to right shoulder. And you're just gently rocking side to side with your upper body. We're trying to open up space around the lotus heart. Our heart gets just covered and covered with so much stuff. And we're doing it in a really gentle way, opening up space, emptying out all the stuff that is keeping our heart from being open. You can imagine that you're emptying a bowl and go back and forth. So let's go ahead and release that for a moment. Place your arms back by your side and just check in. How is the upper chest and shoulders feeling? What are you noticing? Hopefully a little more aliveness here. Like, oh gosh, I have all sorts of interesting muscles up near here. And just breathe and sense. Okay, so let me just do the next one. The next one we're going to do, if you can, eagle arms. Now, if eagle arms does not feel right for you, and I'm going to demonstrate eagle arms, then you'll stick with just the bear hug. So with eagle arms, You'd still start with your arms in front of you. I'm going to have my left over the right, but then either the backs of the hands are touching or you're reaching the fronts of the hands. So if you can already tell this is going to be too much, just stick with the bear hug. Otherwise, you can try backs of hands toward each other, or you can try fronts of hands toward each other. Now, if the left arm is closer to the body, my left arm is, you're only going to go to the left side and let your head go to the right a few times, okay? So back, I'm on my back. My left arms are now shifting to the left. My head is gently looking to the right. I'm coming back to neutral. I'm going to do that 2 more times. Left arm's gently shifting to the left, head slightly to the right. Again, if this is too much, do the bear hug arm. Back to neutral. 1 more time. And back to neutral. Release the arms. Do whatever feels neutralizing here. It may be a slight movement, or you might prefer stillness. So now we have to do that same thing to the other side. So arms are up in the air. This time your right arm is closer to your body. If you're doing the eagle, you're either touching backs of hands or reaching all the way around for fronts of hands, or you're just putting hands on shoulders. You decide. So this time, your arms are going to the right a little bit. Your head's going to the left. Back to neutral. Arms are to the right, head to the left. Back to neutral. Last time. Release all this. So we're going to do the legs next, and then we're going to put all this together. So when you're working on the legs, just place your hands behind your head. And if you can, your backs of your arms are on the ground. Let's just rock back and forth a few times to re-neutralize our pelvic area. So imagine your body is a rocking chair. You're just rocking back and forth. So now you're going to cross your left leg over your right. Your thighs are touching each other. You're very gently allowing your legs to drop to the left. You're on the inside of the right foot. Don't go too far here. Only go as far as your body wants. Come back to neutral. Do that 2 more times. Legs go to the left. They go toward the top leg. And back to neutral. Last time. And back to neutral. Go ahead and undo the legs for a minute. Let's rock our body forward and back a little bit, realigning our pelvis. You're a rocking chair. Visualize what a rocking chair would be doing. And then we have to do the other side. Interlace the hands behind the neck again. This time, draw the right leg over the left. Allow the legs to go to the right. So you're on the inside of the left foot. And then you come back to neutral. You should feel this in the front of the left hip along the psoas muscle. Go back into it. And back to neutral. And third time. And back to neutral. Go ahead and release the legs again. Maybe stretch completely out. We're going to put everything together next. Shake things out. Just see how you're feeling. So now we're going to do the upper body and the lower body. So it's very important that you hear my instructions. Don't try to look at me. You'll torque your neck. It won't feel good. So set your legs up first. Left leg crosses over right. Your legs are going to go to the left. Now let's set our arms up. Arms start in the air. Left arm is closer to your body. You're either doing a bear hug or eagle arms. Your arms are going to go to the right. The head will go to the left. So let your legs drop to the left. Your head turns to the left. Your arms slightly go to the right. Not a big move. This should feel like a twist. Come back to neutral. This is a very small move. Arms to the right, legs to the left. Back to neutral. Last time. Gently legs to the left, head to the left, arms a little bit to the right. I can barely get my arms to the right. Back to neutral. Now we're going to try to go the other way. Let the legs go to the right, head to the right, arms to the left, just a little bit. Back to neutral. Legs to the right, arms to the left, head to the right, back to neutral. Untangle your arms completely, stretch them out, stretch your legs out, shake it out, move around, check in. It's time to do a cleansing breath. We have to do that whole thing to the other side. Ah, ah. All right, let's get our legs set up first. Right leg goes over the left. The thighs are touching. Right arm goes over the left. You're either touching your shoulders, backs of the hands, or reaching for the palms. You're going to have your legs go to the right. Your head will go to the right. Your arms will gently start to twist to the left. When I say it's twisting, it's an inch or two. It's not really a big twist. Come back to the center. 2 more times. And back to the center. And last time. Legs right, head right, arms left, and back to the center. Now we're going to try to go the other way. You might want to shift your legs. I forgot to tell you this. You might want to shift your legs a little over to the right to allow them to drop a little left. And then you can draw your arms slightly to the right. Your head looks left. And come back. You're not really coming to the center here. And back. I only did 2 of those. This is a lot for the arms. Let your arms go out to the side. You might want to turn your palms up and down a few times. Let your legs just gently sway side to side. And we're going to turn over to our front body very gently. This is a lot of chest, arm, shoulder work, but we've also gotten the lower body involved as well. So super, super carefully turn completely over to your front body. Stack your hands on top of each other and allow your head to rest for a moment on your hands. Now, just keeping your hands stacked, you can draw your arms a little closer to the body, lift your body up, and then lower it back down, resting. Lift your body up and lower it down, resting. And when I say lift, some of you might be lifting this far. You do not have to come up to here. This is a deep back bend. It is not appropriate for everybody. For some people, this is all you're lifting. Please listen to your body and lower. All right, we're going to do the lower body for a second. So rest your head on your hands. Tuck the toes, and I hope if you have something involving your feet that you cannot do this, don't tuck the toes if this is going to be too much on your ankle, or if you've done some damage to your toes. If you're able to, you're going to tuck your toes and lift the knees off the ground, engaging the backs of the legs and then lowering. And your head should be resting on your hands. I'm just lifting mine to be able to talk to you. Gently tuck the toes, lift the knees off the ground if you're able to, and then lower down. Now, if we can, we're going to try to do top body and lower body. If it's not appropriate to get your lower body involved, maybe your feet are on a blanket or a cushion, you're just doing the upper body. But if you're doing both, you're engaging the backs of your legs, your toes are tucked, and then you're slightly lifting your upper body, having full back body engagement. This is very strengthening to our backs. It's very needed as we age, if you can do it safely. Now we're going to do a slight different version of this. You know, how babies sometimes sleep with one leg pulled up. So you're going to pull one leg up and the other leg's going to be still stretched out. Tuck those toes in if you're able to and engage the back of the leg, and then lift your body up. This should feel really, really good around the hip area. Again, if your leg is up too far, you might end up going too deeply into this. You don't want to go too deeply. And then go ahead and put that leg down. And then we'll try this on the other side. So you're drawing your other knee up to the side, releasing that hip. This straight leg is being engaged. Maybe you're tucking the toes and really engaging that leg. And then you're lifting your upper body just a little bit. And then releasing everything down, bending the knees, windshield wipering the legs. And when you're ready, you could press yourself back into a child's pose. You might want to, on the way there, just do a little bit of maneuvering around, but find a comfortable child's pose. And then we're just going to do our Shavasana in whatever position you want to do your Shavasana in. So you could widen your knees a little bit. You could lengthen your spine and do a child's pose here. So if you're tired of being on your back or your tummy, you could do our final reading in a seated meditation, or go back on your back into a really comfortable Shavasana. Whichever position you do, spend a minute or two just checking in, just noticing what feels different right now. What have you awakened in your body with all this amazing somatic movement? You should feel maybe tingling or, some sort of electricity going through your body. We are energetic souls, and oftentimes we've turned off so many parts of our body, we don't feel whole. I wanted to find an appropriate reading. I thought I had the reading, but I'm going to look for a different reading about wholeness. Yes, wholeheartedness. He doesn't have wholeness. Holding nothing back, reaching deeper. 65 through 66. I'll try this. Sometimes I just open the book and let it speak to me, but okay. Oh, I like this one. I'm doing a different one. I'm doing opposing voices because really we were talking about our polarities today. Let the opposing voices in your head speak. They are only finding their part in a larger, yet to be heard song. Being alive is a paradox, an ongoing mix of things that on the surface don't always seem to make sense. But voicing what doesn't seem to make sense helps. It's like an orchestra tuning up to play together. We have no chance of discovering the fullness of our inner music if we don't let the players in our hearts and minds and spirits tune. Often confusion is the tension of trying to make sense of things too soon, before enough of the inner players have learned their parts. Often experience is the way that the heart and the mind and the spirit practice what they need to play. Isn't the trail of our relationships the time it takes for the heart to practice its part in the movement we call love? Isn't the trail of our honest questions the time it takes for the mind to practice its part in the movement we call wisdom? Isn't the trail of our changing beliefs the time it takes for the spirit to practice its part in the movement we call God? And isn't our trail of oneness those brief moments when everything comes together? Isn't this the time it takes for love and wisdom and God to bring the commonplace in us alive? So center yourself and bring into view an issue that is carrying indecision or confusion for you right now. Though it might feel chaotic initially, breathe slowly. Let the opposing views of this issue bubble up, uncensored. Take your time. Breathe deeply. Let the opposing energies play themselves out. And rather than struggle to understand how these things go together, breathe steadily. And as if each energy is an instrument, feel the duet they're trying to play in you, and then enter your day humming this tune. So this signals the end of our time together. Take your time, make your way into a more awake position, maybe blinking open your eyes or just shifting things around. And be gentle with yourself. Drink a lot of water today. We did move a lot. And Sophie has come in to do her downward dog and say namaste to you all. Yeah. I can stay a minute or two if anybody needs to talk or wants to talk. How did this land? You can unmute yourself and tell me how it landed in your bodies and minds and hearts.
Oh, thank you very much. I haven't done it in a long time.
I know, I was worried because
And
this was an intense class.
it was, the way you run it is just, kept it gentle, do what you can. And it was interesting.
Those are necessary reminders because we are exploring some really interesting small movements in our body that you're like, whoa, I didn't realize that thing was there.
I didn't, but you know, it's interesting. What felt bad in the beginning started to feel a little bit better at
Yeah.
the end. I couldn't find laying flat on my back. My sides around my spine, around here were very still very tight or whatever. They're just not used.
And
And
maybe a few more blankets to try that, or even trying that kind of movement on a bed, initially. So it has a little more give because, yeah, it has been a while. Even, I mean, Aileen and I did these yesterday.
yeah.
Are you feeling okay? Because this is,
Yes, in fact, it was very nice doing it a second day in a row because I felt more of those little muscles. Because it was the second time around, I didn't have to
Yeah.
think about doing it as much. I could do it and feel a little bit
yeah,
more.
these are really interesting small muscles that we don't get into.
And I
How
have a
about-
lot of these muscles here
Yeah,
that
yeah,
weren't used because of this shoulder thing.
yeah,
And wow, this right here, that right here, that strengthening is going to help me with my, extension.
yeah. And Joyce, how about you? Did it land okay?
Yes, I feel like there's warmth and tingling through my upper body,
Yeah.
places that haven't been moved, and I've been guarding myself for so long.
It's very hard when we guard an area. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Christine, were you okay with it today?
Yeah, I was a little worried with my ankle, but
I was a
I
little
was
worried about your ankle and those last few things.
yeah, but it was good. And the only thing I'd ask you is I think my lower back has just been probably stiff from stress. Is there any movement you might suggest just to loosen up that lower back just a little
I'm
bit?
just going to send you a tiny little video that I've done from a lower back class so that you can do it. I'll send you the link to that video because it's a very in-depth sequence that I could not explain, but I have it in a small video. So
Oh,
I'll just,
Yeah,
Also,
huh?
and I don't know if you noticed, I
Okay.
tried to go into the cabin and I kept disconnecting. So I ended up on the downstairs floor, but at least I had a couple blankets, so
And
that
did
helped.
Charlie bother you while you were doing it?
Yeah, that's why I
Charlie's your
came
dog.
downstairs. Yeah, I couldn't do with her, so I said she's upstairs with the door closed.
Oh, good.
She's
Uh-oh.
fine.
She has totally not gotten into yoga right. She needs to learn from
She-
Sophie how to do yoga.
That's right, she does.
She needs to be trained.
That's right. It's all yoga training. But thank you so much.
All right.
Andrea,
Okay, guys.
would you mind sending me the lower back also?
Okay,
please?
yeah, I'll do that as well. Okay.
Do you consider this?
Thank you.
Do you consider this the lower back? These
No.
muscles?
No, the low back would be here. This is all part of your thoracic spine, your mid back. And your mid back is I mean, think about it. Your mid back has all those ribs there. The ribs are protecting your organs. Your mid back is probably the toughest place to try to free up. The low back and the cervical, the reason why we injure our cervical and our low back so often is because they're too movable, if you think about it. Our mid back is not that movable because the ribs are all protecting those things, but that's why it's really hard to just open space up there. But you can only do small things there. But here we end up doing too much. And that's why all of us get injuries here and get injuries here. We're just tight here. The middle is we're just
Very,
tight.
very tight. Very,
Yeah,
very.
it's just, and it's tight. We want to be loose enough to be able to have good breathing and loose enough to not have our heart feel constricted and things like that. But there's no way you can move that mid back like we do our upper back and our low back. Those are the cervical, I mean, think about it. You can do this, you can do this, and the low back, we move too much and we shouldn't. So we screw up our low backs a lot, but the low back has to be worked in extension. We're always doing this in our life. We need more extension. So that stuff that I did on the stomach, even if the smallest amount, is really important, because again, we're working against doing this all the time. All the time we're leaning forward. Gravity's pulling us down and things. So I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, it was
And
great.
I do have a meeting starting at 9:30, guys. So I'll see you all on Thursday, and I will look around to see if I can find, Christine wanted something, and Aileen, the same thing I'll send to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Jane. And Jane, this was only the second time of the 10, third,
Oh.
it's the third, maybe it's the third.
It's a third.
Third of the 10 that you bought. I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you're with us.
I'll do it now until we go. And Aileen, would we be able to communicate beyond this? Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, you guys, I'm going to have to turn this off, because so you guys, do you know how to reach each other? You're both on the same email list.
Okay, then I'll contact Aileen.
Yeah,
I'll
Aileen,
send
because
her-
she's
I'm gonna
coming on the
send my
trip
phone
too.
number. Okay. Okay.
Right, I'll send my phone number if.
Okay, so do you want to just put it in the chat now quickly?
No, because you'll have to write it down once you
Oh, I
go.
can do it. I can, where's the chat?
No, that's
don't
all right.
worry.
You know what?
But
I'll
Aileen,
share. I
I'm
have
gonna
both
send
of
it
your
to you.
phone numbers. I'll share it with you guys. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Take